The news begins on spears. We're spearheading a new weapon for Guardian, Ranger, and Necromancer. We've got some pretty exciting stuff here. Guardian with a hybrid support, kind of offensive weapon aimed at debilitating enemies and supporting allies. Ranger with a very interesting melee ranged hybrid weapon focused around stealth interactions. And Necromancer grabbing itself a really interesting mobility power melee weapon as well, with some focus on regaining life, unleashing powerful burst, and teleporting around all over the place. Some pretty interesting stuff there. I think we can't go into that. We'll go into the details in a moment. We've got to watch the video first. We've got a pretty exciting video to take a look at here. I'm getting some whispers in game. Wow. But that's not important because we've got to take a look at the spear preview because ArenaNet are going to demonstrate these powerful weapons against some seriously formidable foes. Okay, watch this Guardian Spear demolish this spider. Are you ready for this? Here we go. Level 1 spider. Here it is. Boom! You can see the Guardian Staff auto attack coming back. And one thing that you're going to see in all of these, by the way, is that I think they really took the feedback on the animations in the Soto new weapons to heart. You're going to be seeing some big, bold animations. Look at the spears falling down from the sky there. Some big explosive bursts of light from the Guardian. And I mean, look at that spider. The spider had no hope. Annihilated. Necromancer's up next, facing the Choya. Boom! And look, you can see that mobility I was talking about. You just leap into battle. Looking like some chill and barrier on this weapon set as well. You can see the barrier effect on the Necromancer and some of the chill effects there. I really like the animation on this one, actually. Check that out. Look at that. Boom! Little spin attack with some cracks appearing on the ground. Detonating that Choya. Actually destroyed. Annihilated. We have Ranger. I think one thing, look at this. Check this out. Look at the facial animations of the Sylvari. It's intense. Look at like the... Then leaping in with, well, I've been informed it's a warclaw, not a dog. Same thing if you ask me. And here's the stealth. Boom. Stealth. And then bam. Special attack out of stealth. And what you'll learn here is that every single weapon skill actually changes in stealth, which is actually pretty cool. The skills 2 through 5 get updated in stealth on that Ranger thing. And yes, pre-purchase using my referral link, guys. Shout out to ArenaNet for doing that in the video too. But anyway, looks pretty cool, right? And I think that this is going to be an exciting thing to see, actually, because we're getting 5 weapon slots, and you'll see that's going to be more than 5 skills, by the way. This is a theme we see on a lot of these weapons, especially the Guardian and the Ranger, is that you're getting 5 weapon skills, but there's often a twist on that. There's some kind of mechanic attached to it that is going to give you more abilities to play with. And of course, the Necromancer one also has a special mechanic. Doesn't seem to work quite the same as Ranger and Guardian, but it's definitely got a little bit of extra stuff going on there as well. But anyway, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the Guardian Spear. Don't know why this is a weirdly low resolution image, but you know what? That's okay. We'll allow it. Okay, boom. The Coden settle in the Sherpiks. The Coden of Janthir have long separated from their reverence for Coden, so they turn to the nature they're surrounded to guide their relationship with the world. Wow. This is actually something that I will quickly note here as well. The post is roleplay rich. They're really leaning into the roleplay, which I think is actually very cool. It's an exciting post to read. I'd highly recommend it. The sun, all the benefits life seizes from it included. Certain spear bears look to the sun to channel inspiration in battle. Very paladin-esque, I think. Exciting. Aiding their allies and illuminating a path forwards. Guardians have learned from these Coden and wield their spears in a similar manner, focusing on supporting allies and debilitating enemies. While some of these skills can be used to provide support at a safe distance, their true potential is realized on the front lines, when the Guardian is fighting alongside their allies. By fulfilling specific conditions, certain spear skills will cause the following spear attack to be illuminated. So this is like a combo thing. So you can do a thing, and then your next ability is going to be special and be empowered and have some additional effects. This is the kind of similar design to what we saw in a lot of the new weapons in Secrets of the Obscure, and I like that design there. I really enjoyed it, actually. The idea that you have to combo the different skills together and there's this interplay between abilities. That's the type of design that I think is really fun to deal with in weapons, and it's really good to see that kind of followed up here. Love to see that. While you can only empower one skill at any given time, those skills can in turn grant the illuminated status to your next skill. So you can kind of get like a combo going, like a big chain of these empowered illuminated spear skills with precise positioning. So that's kind of an interesting one. Interesting. So you're going to have to fulfill a condition that's going to involve some kind of positional requirement in order to get this illumination effect. The second skill, Helio Rush, causes the Guardian to charge forward in the direction they're aiming, dealing damage to enemies and healing allies that they pass through. So this is a spell, again, I was talking about earlier in the introduction. You have this hybrid element. It's going to be a support weapon that also has this offensive capacity attached to it as well. A little bit like, I feel like a little bit like Warrior Staff in a way. Striking an enemy during the rush causes the next spear attack to be illuminated. So there's your requirement, right? You need to hit an enemy with this to make your next attack be illuminated. And that's going to be kind of like similar requirements on the other abilities. The illuminated version of Helio Rush increases the healing and additionally grants them resolution. So that's the kind of bonus you get. Boom, more healing, and you also have this boon application there as well. So you almost, it's not really an entirely new skill, but it's a skill that might have a different application in a way, because you might want to use this primarily for healing as opposed to damage, like with this healing version for the support context. Thus, this skill is best used in the thick of the fray when you're able to go through both allies and enemies at once. Yeah, and you'll see this on the next skill as well in particular. I think this is going to be great in situations like competitive. And also in World vs. World, right? So for PvP and World vs. World, like definitely some really strong, seems like some really strong potential here for abilities like this for sure. Guardian weapons aren't complete without a symbol of some sort, and the spear is no exception. The fifth skill, Symbol of Luminance, knocks enemies back. Obviously, CC, pretty good, as you cast it. The symbol pulses resistance to allies who don't already have it, and weakness to enemies. Yeah, resistance and weakness, that's a really good combo in PvP and World vs. World, obviously. And an interesting little note here is that this is actually a balanced decision they've made here. It only gives you resistance if you don't have it already. So in other words, they don't want you to be able to stack up infinite resistance by having multiple of these or just like combining it with other sources of resistance. Yeah, I can understand that being a slight concern. Resistance is a very powerful boon, especially to have that on a weapon skill that pulses to nearby allies. Makes a lot of sense. Symbol of Luminance is unique in that, unlike other spear skills, it does not have a way to grant the illuminated effect, but for good reason. While standing within the symbol, any spear attacks you perform are automatically illuminated. So in other words, that you can stand in this and all of your abilities are going to have this empowered effect. And they notice this later as well. If they note this later, if you have Rid of Persistence, that's going to make the symbol bigger, making it easier to accomplish that, and it will last longer too, regardless of whether you're currently in the correct state. With the illuminated version of this skill, the property applies even if you leave the symbol and lasts for as long as the symbol does. So in other words, if you empower the symbol, you just get it no matter what, like boom. For the duration of that symbol, which will be what, like 6 seconds potentially, something like that, all of your spear attacks are going to be empowered. So that gives you the ability to move around. You're not going to be limited to just being in the symbol. Pretty cool toolkit there as well, I think. And if we just kind of take a look at the video as well, you can kind of see that it is going to be melee oriented too. And I think that is going to help it out in World vs. World for some potential there, because of course projectiles can be a little bit iffy in that game mode for sure. And being able to be like a melee or kind of AoE style thing, like we see with the spear attack, it's like abilities coming down from the ground, like putting a symbol down on the ground. That's going to help it have some application there. You'll be able to actually land some of these abilities, these more offensive abilities, having that charge attack as well, right? You're just going to charge through enemies to do damage to them. So you won't be able to be reflected as well. And I think this honestly could fit into other builds as well. Like depending on like the healing application, you could see this fitting into support builds in PvE as well, especially if you need that resistance utility. You can kind of get that on Firebrand already, so there's going to be like some overlap there as well. But of course, there are going to be other powerful effects that we see on the spear that we haven't seen revealed just yet. And kind of, I'm also expecting it to probably do some DPS. It may not be like BIS DPS. Well, it might be if it's really overtuned on release, of course. But I think that ArenaNet do want to make the weapons usable to kill things with. I don't think we're going to see weapons that just do absolutely no damage. I think that was some of the feedback they also got on Soto, is that the weapons were just kind of noodles sometimes and weren't necessarily really impactful to use. And I think, this is a big expansion feature, right? On launch, then they want players to get these things and be using it as a big part of their primary toolkit going into the expansion, I think. Very nice. Okay, so Ranger next. Slightly different order to the video. What's going on there? You can see the Sylvari very focused, ready to throw the spear. There's a big green glow. That's going to be delightfully obnoxious, I think. That's the auto attack, I believe. But this one is fun. Check this out. So, it's all about hunting, whittling down your quarry at range, and you finish them off with a surprise attack at melee range. Here is that special auto attack that we heard about. When at range, you'll throw a spear. When you move closer, you'll transition into using a melee chain. So you have like a range auto attack that just throws a spear out, and you also have a melee auto attack chain as well. That's, I think, a really interesting, cool mechanic to add to a weapon. I think I'd kind of like to see this added to other things as well in the future. Actually, that could be really cool. I think that feels really dynamic, really cool, just from a thematic standpoint, I think. And, you know, seeing that translate into gameplay, I think is going to be really interesting. And of course, this means you're going to have different functionality, right? Like the two attacks are going to be different. They don't necessarily have to do the same thing, right? Just do damage. One might apply different conditions. One might have like a really special effect on the auto attack chain as well. There's a lot of potential there from interesting design, actually. And like, you're going to want to manipulate space between you and your opponent to, you know, be able to get the attack you want or the attack you need. And of course, there's counterplay for your opponents. Like, you might want to not allow the ranger into melee, so they can't use that melee attack, that, you know, big auto attack chain. Or the contrary, you might want to force them into melee so they aren't able to use their range attacks on you as well. You can kind of, there is some really interesting dynamic there between opponents potentially in competitive play, and also fun in PvE too, right? Like, you know, we need more range DPS options in general, so it's kind of cool that we are kind of seeing at least some of this be integrated here. You're going to have some range damage if you go for spear on a ranger, in addition to like the melee component as well. So I think this is good. This is a nice piece of design here, actually. But, you know, that's enough of that, I think. Rangers learn from the animals of Janthir to deftly wield their spear. Using Mongoose's Frenzy, they'll slash their spear in front of them as if they were a wild animal using their claws. Shout out to Trig. He wrote this. He's a big role player. This is probably the most intense role-playing segment in this post. I knew it was him a mile off. Ranger, main, untamed enjoyer. And here we have Ranger Spear. Falcon Stoop throws a spear with the velocity of a raptor, and Panther's Prow will kick up nearby brush, stealthing the Ranger and their pet. And that is where the fun begins. And that here, we have this special stealth mechanic. So, thieves are gonna get jealous here. Ooh, I'm sorry. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear me. It looks like thieves. You guys get one new skill in stealth? Well, look. Ranger, ArenaNet's favorite profession. Stealthing upgrades Ranger Spears 2 through 5 skills into new versions. Now, they do share a cooldown, so it's not like a completely new skill. It's not like an extra skill on top that you can use. It is going to share that cooldown, so you do have to decide, which I think is actually a cool decision. Like, the fact that you have that decision-making, you might want to, I want to go in stealth and use 3, but I want to hold the 4. I don't want to use that in stealth because I want the non-stealth version. That's actually some really interesting decision-making that's built into that weapon. Cool design. I think that it's going to be, it's almost going to, in fact, no, it is going to be more fun to play, the fact that you have to choose. I think that is a more interesting mechanic to play around than being able to basically like rotate through all of them. That tends to be like very spammy when you have that type of design, right? Which I think is not actually that much fun. And, to be honest, has more potential to just be problematic design-wise. Mongoose's Frenzy flips into Wolf's Onslaught. You swipe your spear as before and then follow it with a jab with the same force as a bite from a wolf's gnashing fangs. Falcon Stoop becomes Owl's Flight, launching an owl spirit that is wider and unblockable to fly through enemies. So you can see that, you know, like some slightly different functionality, right? Like you fire out this owl spirit, it's unblockable. So that's obviously a pretty powerful piece of technology there as well. And you can see that the Wolf's Onslaught is a slightly enhanced version. You get a bit more offensive potential from using this stealth version there as well. But yeah, you can see there's also some, you know, some different functionality that is being added. So you're going to have to choose which one of these that you actually want to use as well. It does seem that they are mostly better versions of the skill. So it looks like the cooldown thing is mostly so you can't double use, essentially. So you can't, boom, get your Falcon Stoop and then immediately go for the Owl's Flight. And, you know, you can't do Mongoose Frenzy, then boom, immediately go for a Wolf's Onslaught to basically get double damage, essentially. That seems to be the way they're going. But yeah, you can see here, it's like you do the same attack and then more, right? Then the Falcon Stoop is Owl's Flight, which is an owl, it's wider, and it's unblockable. So it seems like it is an empowered version of that spell rather than completely different functionality, which, you know, fair enough. I get that. It would have been interesting to see if maybe they will play around with some very different functionality on some of these abilities. Like maybe one is melee out of stealth and ranged in stealth, or vice versa. That could be pretty interesting, but I guess that could also really ramp up the complexity and just feel very weird, right? If that was the case. Weaving in and out of melee range, rangers will use their spear to chip away at their prey before they go into stealth and finish the kill. Their unique stealth attacks will allow them to decide how they want to tactically approach any scenario. Yeah, cool mechanic, actually. I think Ranger, they're eating well. You guys have got a good one here. I think this is going to be really fun to play with. Definitely an exciting design, actually. And yeah, so far, both of the weapons, I think, have some really impactful design. You know, like, bear in mind, right, what is their goal? ArenaNet's goal here is to essentially replace elite specializations or provide something that is going to give you something to play with and modify your gameplay loop as much as an elite spec. And I think making these weapons have these extra layers of mechanical interplay on them, like between the abilities, I think actually does do that. Or at least it is moving towards that. I think expansion features still need to be fleshed out a bit. I would love to see new utility skills and new elite skills get added to the game, even new core trait lines eventually, to really give you that, like, whoa, we've got all these new tools to play with. I think relics are actually quite handy for this too, actually, like just building this kind of picture of new combat features that come out with the expansion. But listen, okay, you know, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to ask for more. You know, it's never enough. I'm the impossible customer, guys, okay? You know, I'm here to annoy ArenaNet as much as possible. It's my only purpose. But anyway, get up and close with the Necromancer spear. Here we go. Look at this. It's magnificent. Azura wielding the Tequatl spear. Good call there, guys. That's a pretty cool skin, actually. Let's take a look at some of the aspects of the Necromancer spear. The spear is a melee power damage weapon that also brings some disruptive elements, a bit of mobility, and some strong burst potential through cooldown resets. I was kind of expecting a support weapon for Necro because the heal Necro builds are weird. They are very... all of their kit is basically packaged into the Scourge traits, essentially, and the Scourge Profession mechanic. It would have been nice to have a support spear. That would also be cool. You know, like having a spear be a support weapon, kind of a little bit like the hybrid of the Guardian. I think would have been interesting. They could have gone that hybrid direction here. And I think I would have liked that. I love Heal Necro. I really like that build in general. So, you know, unlucky, I guess. But I think it does make sense to not go for support, because ultimately support is kind of like the more niche playstyle in a way, right? Like it's less general purpose. Like having a damage weapon, it's a damage weapon, right? It's always going to be good. And Necromancer definitely has like it has some options for mobility now with sword, but it looks like they kind of want to ramp that up a little bit. You could have sword and spear to be going like, you're going to be zooming if you take both of those, for example. You're going to be like all over the place, and you're going to about to see why there as well. And, you know, this does mean that they are going to be able to potentially look at dagger as a support weapon. I think that's kind of likely. If you look at the weapons that Necromancer uses right now on support, it's basically dagger, pistol, torch, and warhorn. I think there's some room to actually take dagger and rework it into a full support weapon at some point, and kind of look at the kit of warhorn and maybe some of the other offhand weapons like focus as well to kind of provide that instead of like making a brand new weapon for it. Because I think like a brand new weapon being a support weapon, I think can feel very lackluster for some players. So I do understand that decision, why they've gone there. I would have gone support because I don't know, support is based, but hey, I get it. And, you know, Necro power builds are in a kind of a weird spot. I think in PvE more so than competitive modes, actually, because for those who play power builds, you guys know what I'm talking about here, right? Like, you basically have Greatsword on Power Necromancer, and then you have, like, a scuffed other set of weapons that you use a couple of skills on, and then pretend they don't exist by going in Shroud, and then get back to Greatsword as quickly as possible. And I think ArenaNet want to kind of flesh that out a little bit and say, okay, well, now you're going to have, like, a proper second weapon set that you can go ahead and use on these power builds, which are obviously very popular. Like, Power Reaper, it's a bit of a fan favorite, let's be honest. Like, we all love it. One of the most fun builds to play in the entire game, and I think they want to lean into builds like that, that they know players love, and give them even more options to make them even more powerful. And I think, yeah, like they're trying to do that with the spear, and I think that's probably where you're going to end up, right? Like, you know, hell, maybe spear ends up being primary. Now that would be crazy, huh? But anyway, let's get into it. Bit of mobility and strong burst potential. And yeah, that's what this weapon is all about. And this is going to be fun in PvP. There's some scenarios in PvP, especially kind of small skirmishes and team fights, where I think this could be absolutely terrifying, and we're about to see why. So, many of the spear skills create soul shards, life-stealing objects that behave similarly to Thief's venoms, but they will only be consumed by strikes from the spear's second skill. Right off the bat, this is that kind of builder-spender design. Like, you see this a lot in World of Warcraft, by the way, and I approve of this. I think that this type of design is intuitive, which means that players are able to learn it and pick it up, and it kind of makes sense without having to see, like, a rotation guide or anything like that, or, like, an ability guide usage, which I think is ideal, right? Like, you want your class to feel intuitive, in my opinion. But also, I think it's fun and rewarding, like, when you have this type of mechanic. I think it's really good, like, when you want to, you know, use certain abilities, then unleash a combo, like, you build up your resource, like, you spend it by using this second skill, Perforate, that we're about to found. I actually like this type of design. I think it's actually really fun. We saw it on a couple of the Soto weapons. We're seeing it here again now. I think it's good. It's pretty hype, if you ask me. This allows them to consistently build up to a maximum of 6 to reach a singular moment of power, instead of being immediately consumed by the next strike. These shards deal increased damage against low-health enemies, so they have a built-in execute to them, and grant increased healing while your health is low, giving more opportunities for powerful execution sequences or the ability to sustain when nearing death. So that's going to be lifesteal using your heal skill, or indeed, of course, unleashing these shards, right, of course, with this one. Very cool. Very, very cool indeed. As mentioned above, soul shards will be consumed by Perforate, which is skill 2 on the spear. Perforate is a multi-hit attack that strikes enemies 7 times, so that's always going to, you know, get through all of the shards. So you've got to land all 7 attacks, though, so your opponent can potentially avoid some of these. Enough to consume all active soul shards. Perforate also deals increased damage against low-health enemies, so again, you've got this even more execute element on this, like you can just, like, teleport in and boom, finish them off. Which, combined with the low health bonus damage of soul shards, makes it a potent skill for finishing the job. In order to get full value out of Perforate, you need to generate some soul shards first. So let's look at another skill that might come in handy. And here is a big one. Here we go. This is a really cool one, and it's got a fun interaction with Death Shroud as well. Check this out. The singular long-range skill on the spear that serves as a gap closer. So everything else is melee, right? This is a ranged ability that you've got to land. This skill throws a spear at the enemy, inflicting chill and vulnerability. And on successfully striking a target, it flips up into the follow-up skill, Distress. Activating the follow-up skill will teleport the Necromancer to the target. And this is interesting. You can actually wait. So you can actually kind of fake your opponent out with this. It's going to flip over for a bit, and you can either go immediately and try and surprise them, or you can see if you can kind of fake them out a little bit and play some mind games there, which is cool. Target struck by the initial spear and generate soul shards. Additional shards are generated if the enemy does not have any nearby allies. So you want to isolate, you want to pick an isolated target, maybe a target in the back line, for example, and then boom, you just get in there and try and finish them off. Or, of course, maybe you're going for a gank, right? You're going for a +1 in PvP, and you're going to try and snipe someone. Teleporting to an enemy will also fully recharge Perforate. See, and now you can see it come together, right? So you're always going to have that unleash. Like, you can teleport and immediately unleash your Perforate. You're always ready to consume your newly generated soul shards. Isolate will also recharge itself while exiting Death Shroud. So you can kind of see the gameplay pattern here. It's going to be teleport in, maybe use some other skills, land your Perforate with as many shards as possible. You go in Shroud, like you're going crazy, like you're Reaper Shrouding, you're destroying your opponent. You leave, and then you can search for a new victim as well. Like, you can either chase them down, right? Like, maybe they've tried to get away, they've used a mobility skill to escape, right? So they blinked away or something, or they've used super speed or whatever. You can hit them again, and that you got to be really sticky. You can be very sticky with this, which I think is super fun. Actually, or of course, just highly mobile in kind of these skirmish encounters where you'll be able to leap from target to target and take him out. I think that's going to be a really interesting and different way to play Necromancer. Like, Necromancer has always been, kind of like a slow, monster, like walking around the battlefield, just destroying everything. But now you're going to be a little bit more nimble, especially given that you have potentially, access to sword and spear simultaneously for like some pretty serious mobility. On a lot of these builds, or even going Harbinger, right, and having a leap. Probably, we'll see. I'm not sure about that one, but yeah. Skills 3 and 5 also generate soul shards, among other things. But we'll talk about those at a later date. So that's all. We're getting a little tease for all these things, but I think all these are really cool. They look great as well. Actually, I think that's a big plus here. I think them being a two-handed weapon allows them to kind of go pretty crazy with the effects, like really add like all the cool kind of death green glow of the Necromancer. You've got these shards, a bit like the Shiro heal skill. Those are the soul shards there. The big bursts of light from the Guardian. And of course, the leaping dog of the Ranger here, right? Like, you kind of leap into battling. Where's the... Yeah, there you go. Blah, look at that. Boom. Looks a little bit goofy, but honestly, it looks goofy in the best possible way, in my opinion. Yeah, this is a really great start, I think. This is a good start to the weapon reveals. And I think you can really see that they have learned from Soto, right? Like, this expansion, Janthir Wilds, it very much was supposed to be this iterative approach on the expansion model. And I think the weapon design here and the way they've gone about doing this, I think really shows that going forward. So that's very cool stuff. Definitely looking forward to trying these out. And of course, all the new ones too. And the other ones we're going to be seeing. We're going to have to wait a little bit. Have to wait till next week to get some more information. So it looks like we're getting one post a week by the looks of this. So it's going to be one next week, then one the following week, revealing 3 professions at a time. And then finally, of course, we're going to have that live stream on June 21st, going over every single skill. Okay, we get to watch Roy die to the Guardian NPC. He'll be using a spear this time instead of the usual toolkit that it has. And of course, the beta on June 27th as well. But yeah, I think a very strong start there. But anyway, that's enough talking from me. Let me know what you lot all think about this stuff in the YouTube comments. Not only does it feed the insatiable algorithm, it also allows you to express your wonderful opinions, your 100% correct, ineffable opinions, which you should definitely do. Let me know what you think. Which one is your favorite? What do you want to see from the future weapons? Which one are you hyped up for? I've got some ideas. Maybe we'll do a little speculation video about what I think the other ones are going to be. I thought, oh, I'm not going to have time to guess what the other weapons are going to be because they're doing them every single day. But ArenaNet has given us a reprieve. We have some time to actually gather our thoughts on this, which is pretty interesting, I think. But yeah, that's going to do it for now, I think. Hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of the news. And of course, be sure to subscribe, because I'll be covering everything that is to do with Janthir Wilds, Guild Wars 2, newest expansion, Year of Guild Wars 2, return of raids, return of Coden, return of Titans, return of gaming. So stay tuned over the coming weeks and indeed months on everything there is to know here on this channel. But that's going to do it. Like, comment, subscribe. Buy the game using my referral link. Disable ad blocker or it might not work. Okay, boom. There you go. That's the advice I've got to give you. Make sure you buy the Ultimate Edition, okay? Buy multiple Ultimate Editions. Buy one for your entire family, right? Like, just keep doing it. Just buy more. Anyway, that's it. Enough selling out. I'll see you all next time. Take it easy, YouTube. I'll see you next time.